let's get started with a new update for the week. Had a lot going on since last week. Uh, Good time to catch up. As we were looking for retracement here, we came up, kind of hit the area we're looking at and overshot. So now we're looking to flip bullish. We've come up and reclaimed our value area low, which is hard to see, but it's down in here. You can draw that out on the chart. And now that we've reclaimed the value area low again, we're looking to head back up into our value area high. We're hitting a little contention here with a volume point of control. And depending on exactly where you take that, adjust some of that volume point of control. But we are holding it for now. We're testing above it. Things do shift a little bit every day. So it's good to come in here and kind of replace these a little bit. Get them a little just slightly more accurate. Same thing here with the value area high. Pull that down a little bit. So now we got to determine where to look for our next trade opportunity. Personally, I'm thinking the value area high as we're holding the volume point of control. We don't have anything bearish yet. It's forming these little, look like little bull flags. Now we were looking here at a retest of the value area low. It didn't do that. It didn't come down into our entry zone, which was to sweep the liquidity off this lower candle. I'll zoom in here on the 4 hour. We'll come in and take a look at that. This was the liquidity sweep I was looking at, and did not come in and take that at 62.41. It just held the weekly band and came back up to test our volume point of control. Now we don't have anything other than some bearish divergences here on the 4 hour. You can see we got some major bearish divergences, but I would be looking, yeah, I'm still looking for higher. I think if we, let's pull a smaller profile here. I think if we come back down into this range, because we're above our volume profile, so if we come back down into this range, I'd be looking for longs up into the value area high of the range. Um, and I honestly think we have a good chance to get up into this area here before even coming back down. Um, Primarily what I'm looking for, let's pull up our ATR band. We'll show you kind of how we got here on the 4 hour. So when you look for shifts, you can start on the 15, but I tend to look on the 1 hour, right? So we've had a couple of failed shifts here, but we noticed, we kept forming higher lows even though the ATR shifted back and forth. So then you look on your 4 hour. This is where I really like to try and find them, right? Because we had a failed here, and we talked about possible failed here, but we shifted our ATR band. We came back down and tested it. That's very common for successful trend shift. And then here we got our cross. As we notice the candles start to turn green, we got our cross on our EMAs. That led to an excellent run up where we come back and we test the 4 hour band again before rising. And that's where I'd be looking, right? So if we came down into this 4 hour band, closing up these gaps, these single print 4 hour candles, be looking at that value area high. That would be an interesting B point for me. I think we could kind of settle down up here, maybe it'll retrace down to the weekly band, a bit of a 386 into a breakout of the upper channel and into a 1.6. Let's go with a 1.618 target if I can get it there. It's pretty finicky. Close enough. So we're looking to make that. Let's go ahead and label it here blue. So that would be our D leg, right? So this would get us out of the channel and break us up. We get new highs. We get into our target range around 83,376, roughly. That would be my bullish scenario. So looking to come down, retest, come back up, and this is where we start to look for a fail. Maybe break down on that trend line, come back and retest this neckline, and then come back up. Blow back up to a nice little blow off top there. That'd be excellent. This would be my bullish scenario. We'll take that off the chart though, because we do need to talk about the alternative, and that is what if we turn around? So let's go back into our daily because I don't. Well, we need to talk one more thing about the daily. Again, the daily has shifted bullish. We have our first ATR bullish close yesterday, and we're getting our EMA cross today as long as price maintains its value area high. What that means to me is that we have room to go up, confirm these, right? We don't even need to retrace. We could, and it'd be fine. We still have room. But up to retrace, then come down, test our daily band wherever it might be, somewhere in this area, around 63 to 61, and then likely resume back up. And that's why I like that pattern we had earlier. It really works well with the ATR band. But if I turn that off, let's say we come up into here, and what else do we have? Well, we have this descending trend line from our prior highs. We could be forming a pattern off the lows to the highs, back down into the lows again. And that gets us into this target range that we had earlier that we were looking at, this kind of breaker range. This is a widening descending wedge that, or what do they call it, like a megaphone pattern? I'm not big on these conventional patterns, but whatever you want to call it. Uh, the the idea is that these are bullish breaking patterns. So again, we have another bullish breaking pattern. I don't see a major crash in Bitcoin yet. It's not giving me those vibes just yet. I mean, on the daily, we're running up on some bullish divergences we had here at the lows. If you did take the longs we had down here in this cluster, um, you just keep holding them, chasing those stops, right? Now I wouldn't want to break under. Personally, I wouldn't want to break under this because if we do, we're probably heading back down, test the value area low. So, test your stops around that 64,000 range and just see if it'll keep going up. If you haven't taken a profit here at 66, well, I mean, if you've got enough left in the tank, I go for it. If you've already taken a few profits out on the way, you're running lean, you could try and wait for the value area high at 69,900, just under that 70,000 range, maybe right at that 70,000 range. Big psychological number as well. So that's going to get my, well, before we close up and go on to the next asset, let's take a look at the weekly, see what the weekly is doing. And again, yeah, we don't have any real, other than this waveform one, we don't have any real negative divergences. I'm really not sure why we're considering that super negative unless this peaked. Yeah, it peaked lower on this candle. That's why. To me, that's nothing huge. Um, yeah, I really just see two bullish scenarios. One where we come up, retest, and then head higher, or one where we come up, fall back down, and then still come to break out. We do have major support down here at 42. Like we'd have to get a lower low than that, right? To even think about it really being super bearish on these weeklies, and then we're sinking real low. Bit of a crash scenario, perhaps, but I would like to see it come up and take this range first. If we come up and take this range, then we can start talking about major turnarounds. We just haven't hit it yet. Well, that's my take on it anyway. Well, let's go into some of our other assets. I've got the SPY here. Oof, that is a messy chart. Turn these off. All right, so we absolutely have been tracking the SPY. I don't know if you, well, if you guys have watched my videos, been waiting for this 1618 level to hit. It did, waked up through it and came smashing right back down. Let me take this volume off of here. So now we're in the PRZ range we had talked about, and we want to see this trend line get tested. Well, let's move into the daily, because the weekly, while showing some reaction, it just isn't that important yet. The daily is really where we need to start watching. I mean, look, we hit that reversal right on the 127 fib that we also have been tracking. Um, right now, right, on this minor trend line support with this FVG below this big order block area. So this is where I'm looking to do at least a bit of a rebound. Let me take this arrow off of here. All right, so we open up in here on Monday. I would look, bless you, I would look for rebounds. Yeah, up into the range here. Hit that block again. Maybe even take out some of these gaps. And then if we fall under, fail to really reclaim that high, we could fall under, break the neckline, and then that would be our first bearish indication that market structure had shifted. So we're really looking for that lower high. Now, where could that lower high lead us? So we have a couple of clues. One is going to be this major gap here, right between these two, and the other one is going to be our FVG gap. We had three bearish candle closes, so we fill the FVG gap, and that gives us two targets on the way up. Actually, let's go ahead and pull a retracement. So our 618. All right. That is a messy chart there. So our 618 golden pocket ends right here at these two bearish candle closes. That could be it. That could be our extension. I imagine we have a 5 up here into this. This would be ideal. This would be another good area. 786 is right in here. You can't really see it. This other 618 is closing it up. But our 786 is right here on the old 618. That'd be, for me, that'd be a fantastic, fantastic run up to fail to make a higher high and then break under our first trend line to test our second trend line and then maybe come down, get into that next gap. This would be an ideal for me, like a topping structure to come down. Now, where are our targets for this pattern? Well, our first target's all the way down here at $479, about 480. So we have a long ways to go to start hitting targets, but we have a lot of PRZ's range to get through before we even need to run down into there. That gets us into October. So we got time, to stretch these out and then sink a bit. It may not even range up here that much. We could get a short retracement and then it could just go down deeper and then fail at the neckline and then head down much faster. Um, so we are watching, we're getting our first bearish taste. We got our 3 down bar candles. Now we need to form a higher low or to break under this trend line. That's where we're at on the SPY. Let me head on over to the Qs. The Qs are doing a very similar thing. The Qs for me have got a little more momentum. Some a little more. I've been trading these a little more active. Again, we've got more than 3 bars down. We got 4 bars down with the big gap, and that's where I'm really looking for our failed high. I'd love to see it come down just a little bit more in this 133. Get it right on there. Let's get our entries precise. As we'll front run it just a little bit. 129. And then we'll take our entry. If we took our entry at that 129, hoping to avoid this gap. So when you come down in here, see a bit of a reaction, maybe take it about 472, 75, 473, get into a long and try to get up into this next range. So let's determine that range. Turn these arrows off. And let's get our retracement on from our highs to our supposed lows. And then take off the 786. These two are our ranges. So the first one here, about 4. Take this out. Put it in a range box. And then take our short at target 2. I like that because it just closes up this gap up to here without closing up that one gap on the candle. And look at that, another touch of the 127 and down we went. So I am looking to take a long down in here, bit of an alt bat pattern, and run our retracement up into, we could fail here at the 382, make it more of a type 2 pattern, hopefully, and head on up. So we'll have to look for weakness here first. What I'd really like to see is it come in and take out both, one and maybe a two. Maybe we get a bit of a three-wave corrective move up into the 618, and then at this range where we're filling in this gap, roll back over and just start coming down to test trend lines, and then maybe even fail down. Oop, close these stupid arrows off. Fall down and start running into some targets. I think this cluster here, that's a janky arrow, but I think this cluster here around 445, 436, I think it's going to provide some support. So have some options, run them up, take some bearish options just to cover and run them down. Now, if we break the high or come close enough to it, I'd probably get out just to see and wait for market to roll over for trying some puts or some shorts again. And I'd be out 75 to 80% at these two targets on the longs, and then keep the rest just as insurance in case we do come up and break new highs and just keep rolling. It is an election year, so that can be a little more dynamic than a lot of years at this season. So we do need to keep that in account. Like this pattern, as long as it validates here on the weekly, does not invalidate until we surpass the hop extensively. And our hop on this pattern is a 2.05 at 570. So that's a long run up still. That accounts for a lot more bullish action. As long as we confirm, and it looks like we are, you can see this rollover on the weekly. As long as we confirm, we can run back up, hit the hop, and then still come down into target. That'd be a massive run up, and you wouldn't want to run your stops that high, which is why I'm being very cautious about these larger term short entries, trying to gauge a market crash or large market correction. Very difficult, very tricky business, and we need to approach it with a lot of caution. Ideally, you don't want to put too much stock in these shorts. Ideally, what you're doing is catching good prices for the inevitable return. And we can look back on the monthly chart. You can see where we've come from there isn't a lot of reward for long-term shorts, you know, since what, the '01 crash. You get a little bit here, the '08. That's about it. Everything else has just been buy it and let it run. That's same thing with the SPY, you know, buy it, let it run. Um, I wouldn't, yeah. I mean, you could be the guy who gets that sharp turnaround, but they're not all that long lived. So, yeah, that's all we're looking for really is protect ourselves, protect our assets a little bit, get a little bit extra spending money so that if it does correct, we're ready to purchase back in and let her go. But that's going to do it for my update. That covers our overview of the SPY, the Qs, and Bitcoin. And I will talk to you guys again some other time. Bye.